Hi, I'm James Robinson, and this is my stock pick of the week. Today we're going to talk about a new stock. The company is Standard Motor Products. The company symbol is SMP. Before we go any further, I'd like to just tell you a couple of things. First of all, if you want real-time information when I buy or sell a stock, the first place you're going to see that is on my Twitter account. My handle is @RobinsonStocks. So whenever I buy or sell a stock, I always put it there first. It always takes me a couple of days to make a video. So when you watch the videos, you're several days late. I also will put updates when I make new videos on my Twitter account, as well as news and thoughts on the market or stocks in the portfolio, or just other things that I think might be interesting or important to you. Here you can see a map of where my known subscribers are around the world. This is very cool. I don't have enough subscribers to make any money off YouTube. I'm doing this for fun. But one of the charges that I do get out of this, one of the things that excites me is when I get new subscribers from around the world and around the country. So if you like the videos or if you're making any money off the stocks I'm suggesting, then just drop me a line and tell me where you're from, what city and what country you're in. Also, I'd love it if you'd subscribe. Obviously, when you get to 1,000 subscribers, you can start making money off YouTube. So I'm trying to reach that point. Here you can see a list of my subscribers and how not a list, but a chart of how my subscribers have grown since January. So I want to thank all of you who have subscribed, and obviously, like every other YouTuber, I'm begging for subscriptions. So whenever I suggest a new company, I always do a 5-part series on the company. The first part of the stock is the overview, where we look at sort of just the fundamentals of the company, and I give you a sense of why I'm interested in it, why I bought the company. Then I look at the operations of the company. That really is how good a job does the company do in terms of delivering goods or services to the customers. How efficiently and how economically do they do that job? We look at the company's balance sheet, which is a measure of the company's risk, and it's a measure of the company's cash on hand, so it's debt and cash on hand, and receivables, so that we can get a sense for how safe this company is, how likely we are to lose our investment. We look at dividends, not just dividends, but how much the dividends are, how well they're being paid, how safe they are, and how likely they are to continue or increase over time. And finally, we look at wealth creation, which is the job that the management of the company does in returning wealth to the shareholders, whether through dividends or stock buybacks, paying down debt, or whatever other means the company is using to increase the value of the stock, increase the value of the business, or in other ways, make us, the shareholders, more and more wealthy. So first, a little bit about the company. Standard Motor Products manufactures and distributes replacement parts for motor vehicles in the automotive aftermarket industry. So they don't sell to Ford, they sell to Napa Auto Parts, for example. They have several different segments. The biggest of them is the engine management segment, and offers components for the ignition, electrical, emissions, fuel and safety related systems for motor vehicle. They do it under a series of different companies, including Standard, SMP, Intermotor, Standard Diesel, BW Select, OEM, Tech Expert, Polak, LockSmart, and GP Sorensen. So those are the brands that they own and that they use to make their products. Those brands may not mean much to you, but I'm told by people in the business that their brands are pretty well respected as in the things that they deliver. The next segment is does electronic ignition control modules, camshaft and crankshaft position sensors. This is the sensors division. They do distributor caps, rotors, ignition wires and coils, switches and relays, EGR valves and variable valve timing components, mass air fuel and fuel pressure sensors, and new and remanufactured diesel injectors and pumps, as well as working on anti-lock brakes, vehicle speed, tire pressure monitoring, and park assist sensors. So long story short, if something breaks on your car, there's a pretty good chance that SMP is making parts to repair that. And that's whether it's a car or a diesel engine. Long story short, these guys are the guys to go to. They have another segment that is temperature control, and they provide temperature control systems, engine cooling systems, power window accessories, and windshield washer systems for motor vehicles. They have several brands: Four Seasons, Everco, ACI, Hayden, ProSource, and Fairactive brands. They provide air conditioning compressors, air conditioning repair kits, clutch assemblies, blower and radiator fan motors, filters, dryers, blah, blah, blah. It goes on and on and on. You can read this yourself if you want to. Long story short, lots and lots and, dozens and dozens of different parts of the car that might break. These guys sell the part to fix it. The company sells its products primarily to automotive aftermarket retailers, to program distribution groups, warehouse distributors, original equipment manufacturers, and original equipment service part operations in the United States, Canada, Mexico, Europe, Asia, and Latin American countries, so all over the world. Standard Motor Products was founded in 1919. Its headquarters are in Long Island, New York. The company has 4,300 employees. So it just gives you an overview of what this company does. It's one of these companies that's sort of an unsung producer. Nobody really thinks about them. They're a billion-dollar company, and yet most of us have never heard of them or what they do. This is the kind of company that I really like. They're in a bunch of little niches, and they're a big player in those niches, and they don't have a lot of competitors. And really, who's going to want to get into the business of, vehicle speed sensors or tire pressure monitoring sensors or park assist sensors? These are pretty obscure things that how do you go and compete with the biggest company that's doing this if you're just going to get into one segment of the industry? And these guys are doing that in multiple segments, and thus they have economies of scale, right? So they have a salesman who can go out and sell 15 different parts simultaneously, which is one of the reasons I'm really interested in the company. So as of August 2nd, 2021, this company had a market cap of $944 million. They had revenues of $1.15 billion, profits of $92.96 million. The company's PE ratio is 13.94. The company pays dividends and a yield equal to 2.399%. The company has $13 million of debt, and again, that's against $92 million of profit. So effectively, the company's debt-free. It is not a member of the S&P 500. I'm kind of down on the S&P 500. I think that it's typically, the companies in the S&P 500 are priced way too high, and so I'm trying to avoid S&P 500 companies. It is a member of the S&P 500 small cap, which is just a conglomeration of 400 companies that have a net worth that are much smaller than the minimum required to be in the large cap S&P 500. So that's just sort of a basic rundown of the fundamentals of this company. When I look at a company, I break it down into 29 different areas. 9 of them are operating areas, 10 of them are financial areas, and 10 of them are management areas. And what I do is I look at how this company is performing relative to other companies and relative to some standards that I've set up, and I grade each company on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 to 4, 4 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. And you can see here that in terms of operating, the company is pretty average. But in terms of finances, they're very, very good. And in terms of wealth creation, again, they're pretty good to very, very good. So the grade for operating is about 2.44, which is very, very average. The grade for management is 3.3, which is very high. And the grade for financial is 3.50, which is what you'd expect for a company with virtually no debt. The total GPA then for the company in total is 3.10, which gives it a score of 90 on my scoring system. That makes it the 126th highest company that I've looked at out of the current universe of 895 companies. So it's in the top 14.2% of the companies that I've looked at. So a very, very solid company. And again, when you look at buying a very, very solid company in kind of a niche little business like this, and then you look at the fact that the company we're buying it at less than 14 times earnings, whereas the average company, the S&P 500 is at 45 times earnings, you can see why I'm interested in the company, especially when you then add in that it's got some dividends and very little debt. So that's the fundamental overview for the company SMP. What you're going to find again is that over the next few days, I'll do a video on the balance sheet, the operations, the dividend and wealth creation, and hopefully you get a better sense of the company. I have bought this company. It is currently in my portfolio. I bought it a couple of days ago. So that's all for the company. That's all for the overview of SMP. SMP is SMP for Standard Motor Products. Thanks.